Okay, so in this video we are going to continue with this function, except we'll kind of intentionally make a mistake. So instead of saying return s over here, I'll say return s inside this for loop. So how is that going to go? So L would still be 3, 4, 5 if you go sum list only L. So then S is 0, and then you're going for E and L, so E is 3, so S becomes 3, and then you hit this return S statement. So because it's indented here, you would do it in the first iteration of the first loop when S is 3. Now the thing about the return statement is the first time that you hit it inside the function, that's it. You terminate the function and you go to the next thing here. So what would happen is you're going to say return s is 3, so the value here is going to be 3, so you just print 3, the value of the first element, because the first time around s is going to have the same value as the first element. So that's just a mistake, so to fix it you would just go return s like this. And if you go return s like this, it's all fine, because first s becomes 3, then you go back, s becomes 7, then s becomes 12, and only then do you get to this statement, so you return 12, which is the correct thing. So what I want to do now is I want to actually use this property of the return in order to do something useful. So I write a function called search, named search rather, and that's going to be L and E. And what I want to do is I want to return true if L contains an element that's equal to E. So here I wrote like if with the two f's. So this means if and only if, and usually kind of return true if and only if means that if this is true, so if this holds, then return true, otherwise return false. So that's kind of implied by the if and only if. That's the convention. Okay. So basically it means if L has an element that's equal to E, then return true. If not, then return false. So here's how I'm going to go about that. So I'm going to say for lm in L. So note that they say lm here rather than E. And the reason for that is that E is kind of already taken. So I could say for E and L, but then this new E is going to just override the old E, so I wouldn't know what to look for in the list L. Okay? And what I'll do here is I'll say if lm is equal to E, return true. And then after the for loop has ended, I'll say return false. So let me give you an example. So I'll say here, now I'll say search my L and let's say 4. So here an important thing to know is that the order of the arguments here, so those things that you send to the function are called arguments, should be the same as the order of the parameters, so that my L will get sent to L and 4 will get sent to E, right? So the order has to be the same. So now we send my L to L, so L is now 3, 4, 5. We set 4 to E, so E is now 4, and we go for lm in L. So lm at first is going to be 3, so that's not equal to 4. And then lm is going to become 4. So if it wasn't equal to 4, of course, we did not hit this statement. And now lm is equal to 4 in the second iteration. And so lm is equal to E, which means that we go to this statement. The moment we hit return, that's the last thing that happens in the function. So true is going to be the value here, so you'll print true. Now let's say that you do my search my L, with 10. So 10 is not an element of L, right? So there's no element here that's my L. There's no element here that's equal to 10. So what's going to happen is, like, is 3 equal to 10? No, so this doesn't happen. Is 4 equal to 10? No, so this doesn't happen. Is 5 equal to 10? No, so this doesn't happen. So we get here. So false becomes the value here, so we print false. So we didn't find 10 in 345. So a common kind of mistake here is to do something like this. So instead of doing the correct thing, now I'm doing the wrong thing. You would say something like else return false. So what happens if you do that with, let's say, my L4? So it's worth, if you don't know right away, it's worth pausing and kind of thinking about it. So pause now. Hi, hope you're back. So what happens is you're going to say, okay, again, for lm in L is this, E is 4, right? So is 3 equal to 4? No. So you don't return true, but now you're saying else return false right away. So that means that you return false, so that means that you hit the return, false gets sent here, so you print false. Even though the right answer is true, right? Because 4 is present in the list, just not in the first position. Okay? So don't do this kind of thing. So again, kind of what was the idea here? The idea here would be, okay, so we go through every element in L, and then if we find that an element, for example, this 4 is equal to 4, then we return true. Why do we do that? Because we don't need that. We don't need to use any of the information about what's the rest of the element, what the rest of the elements are in the list, because we already know that the correct answer is true. On the other hand, we'll only return false after the for loop has finished running, because if the for loop has finished running and we haven't returned true, then it must be the case that we must return false, because we tried every element, we compared it to, for example, 4, we found that none of them are equal to 4, so that means we have to return false. But you can only do that after the for loop.